Good evening. My name is Harvey Bravman, and I'm speaking to you from the stage of Movie House 1 at the Coolidge Corner Theater. Welcome to the 11th Brookline Youth Awards. I'm here about to interview the executive director of the Coolidge Corner Theater, Katherine Tallman, who is this year's recipient of the Ethel Weiss Service Award. This great room is hollow ground to me. It's sacred. All the film greats for the last 88 years have appeared on this screen, and some of them have even spoken to the audience from this stage. But this room has always been more than about movie icons. The Coolidge Corner Theater has always been about community. This room holds a special place in my heart, and a lot of other people feel the same way. Years ago, when the theater was on the verge of closing down, community members actually surrounded it, locking arms, literally holding on to the Coolidge for dear life. From the time this Art Deco movie palace opened its doors in 1933, this movie theater never shut down until a pandemic hit last year. The Coolidge changed my life. I came up with the idea of the Brookline Youth Awards in this room 12 years ago. And I never thought that I would make a film, but I've made two now. And my motivation while making them was how the audiences at the Coolidge would react to my work. In Sole Witness, voices from Brookline Holocaust survivors from 30 years ago were shared with the public for the first time on this screen. Those angels from our past have come back to life at the Coolidge several times since. In the film Facing Civil Rights, community members shared what it was like to break the walls of segregation in Brookline in the 1960s. Over the last 11 years, we've honored 700 young people at the Coolidge and produced 160 videos that have been shown on this screen. Students have shared not only what it was like to succeed, but what it was like to overcome challenges. Some of those challenges they were born with, and some of those challenges were inflicted on them by society. Their stories will forever be part of the legacy of this great theater. I'm very proud to say that while you're watching this on your computer or maybe sitting on your couch, a small, socially distant, mask-wearing audience of youth and adult award recipients will be watching tonight's show in this theater. So let's start this special night. Welcome again to the 11th Brookline Youth Awards. Have a great evening. Hi, this is Harvey again. Welcome to the Brookline Youth Awards. It is my honor to introduce to you our 2020 Brookline Youth of the Year, Saya Ameli Hajebi.
Thank you so much for the introduction. To all of you sitting in your living rooms at home, or everyone here at the Coolidge tonight, welcome. And tonight we're going to be celebrating 106 amazing students and 4 amazing supporting adults. And a lot of work has gone into this production, and a lot of hours went into the nomination process. A lot of hours went through the interviews that we did with the students, but we've made it through, and we're excited to introduce all of these amazing young people to you today.
In total, there were more than 150 nominations for 106 students. And our nomination committee made up of 42 members of the Brookline community, read off 150 nominations and took on the impossible task of choosing award recipients in 2 categories.
So tonight we're going to show you the pictures of the recognition award recipients up on the screen and their answers to a question we posed. Then we'll show you video interviews of the youth award recipients and our dialogue. And then finally, we're going to share the 5 Brookline Youth of the Year finalists. And from them, we're going to introduce the 2021 Brookline Youth of the Year. Now, it's important to say that the selection process is totally subjective. Every single student presented up here is worthy of celebration. It was really hard to pick just one.
So let's start the evening off with our first group of recognition award recipients. They were amazing. Now let's hear from our first group of 3 student interviews.
My name is Jacob Gurdin, and I'm a junior at Brookline High School. The varsity hockey team at Brookline High School is probably the best team I've ever been on. Most of my closest friends are on the team, and the last 3 seasons have definitely been the best 3 hockey seasons of my life, and I'm looking forward to one more senior year. In school, I'm part of a club, the City Kids Club, which helps inner city students and kids get different things they need for school or out of school activities, like Chromebooks this year, especially with online school. So I found out about the Travis Wright Foundation when I was a young hockey player. I actually met Travis at an event, and the first time I met him, he really inspired me. So 4 years ago, for my bar mitzvah project, I decided to start a charity hockey tournament to benefit his foundation, the Travis Roy Foundation. Travis Roy was paralyzed in his first 11 seconds as a hockey player at BU. and he started his foundation after his accident to help people who have suffered spinal cord injuries get adaptive equipment and research to hopefully find a cure. I was very nervous going into the first time meeting him, but he always had a smile on his face, and he welcomed me with open arms, and we actually became very close family friends. The tournament's a youth hockey tournament, and we're hoping next year, without COVID, to expand it to create a high school tournament. The first year we had only 4 teams, and then each year we kind of expanded from there. And the second year we had my siblings' teams each played a game. The next year we had 8 to 10 teams or 8 to 12 teams. And then the last year, my sophomore year, we did a high school game and a youth tournament. We've raised over $100,000, I think. So when Travis died, it was definitely a surprise and very difficult, but I want to do everything I can to keep his legacy alive. And so we're going to be planning a golf tournament in June to support the Travis Roy Foundation and AJ Quetta, who suffered a spinal cord injury this past winter. He's a high school hockey player in Massachusetts. And then we plan the Travis Roy Foundation wiffle ball tournament every summer. Next year, I definitely want to keep the tournament going and keep helping the Travis Roy Foundation. And then after high school, definitely want to go to college, and think I want to go to business school. My grandmother, who passed away last month, she did a lot for other people. She was a social worker during the AIDS crisis. So her whole life was helping other people. So that's definitely someone who I looked up to and who I want to keep her legacy alive by helping other people.
My name is Ashauni Jones, and I'm a senior. I work at Goldfish Swim School, that's also in Brookline. And right now I work at the front desk. I'm a front desk representative, and also I'm a deck supervisor. Also on Thursdays after school, I read to a second grader at Heath and help him learn how to read. I do makeup on the weekends when I'm not at work. So like I have a website, I use Square, and then I'll have people book through there, and then I take clients through that way. On my freshman year and my sophomore year, I helped compete in a school-wide competition called Tenacity with a teacher called Ms. Hunt, who runs African American and Latinx Scholars Program. From freshman year to my junior year, I did the spring play with Dean Williams. I had to do community service my 11th grade year because I was in a class called Social Justice. And I did about 100 hours at a homeless shelter in Cambridge called Y2Y. And then I'm also in an X-Block called Core that's ran in like the MECO department, and it's run by Kendall. And we just talk about like our experiences and real life experiences with like people of color. Adjusting to Brookline was definitely something that was, I wouldn't say hard, but it was definitely like a big step for me since I didn't come from Brookline public schools. I transferred from Boston Latin Academy. So coming in as a new student and then being a new student of color was like something that was, new for me. Most of my classes are honors from freshman year, and I would be one of the few kids of color in those classes. So whether I said something or participated, like whether it's classmates like kind of looking at me like I didn't know what I was talking about, or just having the bar set kind of not low, but when I exceeded the bar, it'd be kind of like questioning. So writing my National Honor Society speech for the induction, it was Women's History Month. And I focused mine around being a Black woman, a woman of color, and how that has motivated me and pushed me to be where I am today. So future plans, I definitely am going to college. I'm going to go to a 4-year. I'm going into most of my majors for criminal justice. After undergrad, I definitely want to go to grad school. I want to go to law school. I'm really a big believer in change and trying to get, things the way they should be, just to make sure that all possible odds like against our community is like eliminated. That's my big concern. I want to be a criminal defense attorney, and then I want to help my community that doesn't get all the help that they need.
I'm Henry Brill. This year, I became one of a couple of captains for the Brookline High School varsity swim team. I I helped lead Riot Rate Green advisories. And I've been vocal about who I am, about coming out, about my sexuality. And in a few months, I'll be graduating high school. I identify as gay and heterosexual, and I identify as a cisgender male.
That's great. Does it make you feel good that you share that you're comfortable doing that? That takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah. I feel proud of who I am and proud that I can come out now. That earlier when school was shut down, I wasn't myself. I couldn't fall asleep. It's been on my mind for so long. No matter what you identify as, if you have a dream, follow it and don't let anyone stop you. You are special the way that you are.
That's beautiful.
Knowing what has been happening during the pandemic, I know who I am. I'm proud of it and I love it. I want to send that message to everyone that Entitlement 1 is tackling all of us.
I'm here with Nick Lazaro, head projectionist at the Coolidge, and he's just going to join me in introducing the next few blocks. But first, we're going to hear about the Suriel Guerrero Parent of the Year.
My name is Lisa Irvings.
And my name is Michael Brill.
Nathan, our older son, is in college. Then Henry is a senior at Brookline High School.
My son Henry has Down syndrome, and that includes certain developmental limitations and some physical, muscle tone issues and stuff. He's an incredibly hard worker. He has overcome those limitations far beyond what I think we expected or most people expect. He's been on the high school swim team for all 4 years. He passed the MCAS exams. Part of that credit, I think, is due to Lisa having gotten him the supports that he was both entitled to but needed early on, all through elementary school and preschool. But a lot of it, it's just who Henry is. Part of, meeting Henry's needs was also, we have another son, and just making sure that we weren't neglecting his needs, that giving him equal time. And the two boys have a great relationship. I mean, they really love each other.
Nathan's an amazing big brother, and when I think about, there's so many hard things in terms of raising kids generally, and particularly when you have a child who has special needs. But the thing I feel that we've done better than that shows me all the time that we've been successful is their relationship. I think one of the things that's made Brookline High School so amazing is they have all different levels of classes. You're not general education or special needs. I mean, they have every level of class, so that Henry was able to come in substantially separate classes and work his way out of those classes. And I think empowering Henry has been not that hard, because Henry is the one who decided that he was going to do everything. If you look at what he's done, like being successful in his English class, which I worried about a little because it's not a traditional class, he just works so hard and he's so organized. it's taken him a long time to do a lot of things. He comes to it later, but then he's determined that he's going to work so hard to master it.
Early on, I found myself often tempted to talk him down from his lofty goals, but he's achieved so many of them that now it's just, well, we'll work at it, you know, we'll try and find a way.
Years ago when he was talking about college, I just tense up because I was like, what are we going to do when he gets there? And now when he says he's going to go to a 4-year college, it's like, I believe this is going to happen. And I'm not saying it's always going to be easy for him or for us, but this will happen because this is what we've seen, exactly what Michael was talking about, that, you know, we try at times to redirect him and we couldn't redirect him and then he'd accomplish it. So, yeah, so I think that's the most important thing.
Nick, how has the pandemic changed the way that the Coolidge operates?
Well, since gathering together in public has been very difficult over the last years, the theaters had to undergo a ton of changes. In the meantime, we've taken advantage of the downtime here and made some physical changes to the building. We've put up plexi barriers made by the Makery around all points of sale in the concessions. Well, we've installed a pathogen scavenging air filtration system to safeguard our patrons and the employees. We've also taken advantage of the downtime to do some renovations. So when people return, they're going to see new carpets, new seats in the screening room and the gold screen, and some new paint on the walls.
Thanks, Nick. And now let's hear from the next 3 Youth Award recipients and a few words from the Brookline Hub.
My name is Josue Anselme. I go by he and his, and I'm a junior at Brookline High School. So I'm a co-founder of Wake Up Brookline. We're kind of known for the Black Pollen concerts, where we really have Black singers, Black vendors come, and we really show Black excellence. Because we know for a fact Black culture is very much appreciated in this country. However, we don't appreciate the people that represent that culture. It's impactful. And seems meeting more people that have the same ideas of us, of a place of unity, and where we're all equal, no matter what, you know, no matter what race, what sexuality, what gender, no matter what religion you believe in, you are the same. You're human. We're all equal here. Fighting for everybody to be equal, not just in race, but in gender, sexuality, religion. It's lifetime work, and it's work that needs to be done. I do program really it's called Speak Your Mind. We talk to middle schoolers about race and really have a space where these middle schoolers can really discuss on difficult topics like this, and also really understand their identity and understand what role they play in society. You can see that they just needed the space to talk about all this stuff. And I think for me, we didn't have that when I was in middle school. So us creating that for middle schoolers now, it's a game changer. An author, All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. In his book, he writes about how when they were growing up, they didn't have a book that really talked about identifying in the LGBT community as a Black man. So they really were like, well, I might as well do it. I might as well write this book. I think when I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to carry this for the rest of my life. I'm just going to do things that I wish I had, and I can create it for the next generation. And the generation next, they do that same thing, you know? I think that's my motto. We live in a world where there's always two sides, and the two sides can never sit down and have a conversation. If we don't sit down and talk, we can't go anywhere. Right. And a lot of that stuff, you know? And it's hard, for a fact. That was my hardest obstacle, just sitting down with someone that had different ideals than me and really just try to find that middle ground. And it's a work in progress still, you know? But it's going well. I'd say I do know what I want to do. I want to be in medicine. I think one of my biggest goals is to be a neurosurgeon. I want to be in the veterinarian. I love pets. it's just another way of helping people. And I always want to help people. That's always been me.
My name is Kailyn Tavera, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. Before my senior year, I was working 30 hours a week at Wegmans. And now that I'm a senior, I chose to cut down my hours in half. So now I'm working about 15 hours a week. Challenges that I would say that I have experienced that made things harder for me is probably not having a dad that's as present as other people in my class or in this community, Brookline. And probably also being from a family where it's Spanish based and my mom doesn't speak English. So it's kind of serving as a translator for her. I have to make phone calls to doctors or also to pay bills and whatever phone calls that she has to make, I have to do it because usually when she tries to get someone to speak Spanish, she's not able to get it or it's a long wait. As I got older, I was gaining more knowledge and I noticed that my mom was kind of struggling with money. So when I was about 15, that's when I decided to get a job at Wegmans. What I was doing when I started working was actually helping her with bills, such as the phone bill, the internet bill, and also rent at times, or groceries. Working and having to pay bills and other necessities. I would say that's something I'm proud of, that I was able to help my mom in ways her other kids weren't able to. And what shaped me into the person I am today, which is someone who really works hard for what I want. My mom, she hasn't really had it easy on her life. She's had a very difficult life. She came from the Dominican Republic, probably her late 20s, and she went straight to New York, which is where I was born. When I was about 1 or 2, she had moved over here to Massachusetts. I'm planning on majoring in nursing. I want to become a nurse because it's just the fact that I'm able to help other people. And also, I don't know, it's I've always been interested in that education, the anatomy, the biology, all of that. I've always been interested in that.
My name is Skye Kim, and I am a senior at Brookline High School. I've been swimming competitively since I was, I think, 7. I swam for the high school for 2 years, and that was really fun. And now I swim on a club team called Charles River Aquatics, which is part of the USA Swimming League. I love swim meets because I love the competition and just constantly improving your time, working towards that goal. In high school, I participated in this challenge called Technovation Challenge, which is challenge for girls interested in business and technology, where you create an app to help solve a problem. So my friends and I, our first year, we designed an app to help make the volunteer process more accessible to people. And this year we're making one to make the college application process easier for students. And so I really enjoyed that because I get to combine technology with, I guess, helping people. And so that's where I kind of see myself doing something like that in the future. I'm in the ACE program, which is a competency-based program at Brookline High School with about, I think, 55 students who are in grades 10 through 12. I decided to make a documentary about it because while I was in the program, I noticed that a lot of people in the school and also outside of school didn't really know much about the program, or they had views on it that weren't true. And so because I was interested in filmmaking, I wanted to kind of use my interest and combine it with ACE and produce a documentary about ACE to show people exactly what this program is and all the great things that it's doing for students who are in the program. I've gotten to interview people which I had never done before. And so I had to learn the skills to, listen to people's stories and like ask them questions. ACE is a program that is really helped like the most vulnerable students at Brookline High School. And I think people just looking at ACE might not know that. But as someone who's like in the program, I've noticed how much ACE has helped other students. And so I want that to be the main message that I get across to other people.
Hi, my name is Danielle Myers of ADW Video Productions and BrooklineHub.com. BrooklineHub.com is a 501c3 nonprofit online publication dedicated to community building through local reporting and events. Brookline Facing Civil Rights was produced by our founder, Harvey Bravman. The film is about the experiences of African Americans who helped break the wall of segregation that existed in Brookline before the civil rights laws were passed in the 1960s. Last year, the film sold out the Coolidge Corner Theater and included a panel discussion on inclusivity. You can stream the film and the discussion on BrooklineHub.com in exchange for a donation to the Brookline Community Foundation's Safety Net Fund. You can also stream Soul Witness, a film that features interviews with Brookline Holocaust survivors conducted 30 years ago, on soulwitness.org.
What can we expect for the Coolidge reopening?
So we're looking to do a phased approach to the reopening. Hopefully sometime in mid to late May, we're going to try opening our doors to the public, starting with our main house to a limited capacity. And we're going to come right out the gate with a lot of Coolidge classics, big screen movies that people have been associated with the Coolidge over the years, and just see how it goes, and just take our time and respond to the public accordingly.
That's great, Nick. Now we're going to hear from the next 2 Youth Award recipients and the team winners and a few more recognition award recipients.
So hi everybody, I'm Karen Chase and I am with the Brookline Cares team. In a matter of months this past winter, all of you managed to make life a little bit easier and actually warmer for individuals and families in need of winter coats, hats, and gloves. And then you went even further and raised money to purchase sleeping bag coats for those with housing insecurities. Now you all have a history of volunteerism. What inspired you to come together for this organized effort? And I'll start with you, Gabriel.
I think what inspired us the most was that during COVID time, more and more people have been losing their jobs, and there's been an increase in people experiencing homelessness. So I guess from there, we decided that it'd be great timing to partner up with the empowerment plan, so that way we could distribute clothing to those who need it.
What did it make you guys feel? Like, what was the experience like? We can throw it out to the others.
Well, I think it was really helpful, especially being in 10th grade, to kind of have that experience with taking initiative and doing something that's for the good of other people and not just ourselves.
I want to thank you all for coming together. This is Brookline Cares, and we'll take you back to the Youth Awards. Thanks. So hi, everybody. I'm Karen Chase, and I am with Graduate Green. I'm amazed at how you guys have turned your high school experience into an opportunity for big change. Designing and incorporating lessons on climate change and racial justice are not only mind-blowing, but they're mind-expanding and a really good first step. So why is it important then for schools to take the lead in preparing young people to meet the challenge of climate change that's going to be a part of their lives?
Climate change is going to be a really big part of our generation's future. So we thought that it was important to bring our knowledge of this to the rest of the school and make sure that it continued to be a part of the curriculum.
And how has it been received by the young people that you're making it available to?
We've had overwhelmingly positive kind of feedback. There's kind of like a unifying factor. And there's something that the whole student body can kind of get behind to fight climate change and racism as well.
That's amazing. And I want to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts and doing the good work. This is Graduate Green, and we'll take you back now to the Youth Awards.
My name is Noah Schwartz, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. Right when the pandemic hit, school was canceled. We had to go home and learn from home, and it was a pretty average experience. And I found that the education was okay, but I really missed my friends, seeing them every day. And I thought about my grandma, and I saw that she was stuck at home too for quite some time, and just stuck reading books and watching tennis on TV. And so I thought that I could deliver her a bag full of treats, like snacks and water and Sudoku and all sorts of puzzles to entertain her while she was at home. And she really liked it, and she was really grateful for it. So then I thought that I could expand this in the Brookline community to people just like her. I serve as the tennis captain for the boys varsity team. So I reached out to my tennis team, and we didn't even have a season because, COVID shut it down. So I thought that this would give them something to do, help out the community. I made trips, and I dropped off the bags to the kids on my team, and they helped me deliver all these bags across Brookline. It was roughly like 150 to 200 bags. It's tough to say how many people we reached to, but if I had to estimate, I think around 2,000, a little upwards of 2,000 bags were distributed. Volley Against Violence, that took place at Sportsman's Tennis Club right in Dorchester, very, very close by to Brookline. I started going sophomore year, and it was a really great experience because I got to meet a lot of kids that were, in elementary school from like kindergarten to like third grade. And the really cool aspect of the program was that these kids got to play with the law enforcement of their neighborhoods. So one day they grew up and recognized, the cops on the street, be able to talk to them, have a conversation, even connect over like the program that they did. They play tennis with one another, and it was a really cool experience. And I got to teach the cops and the kids how to play tennis with one another through drills and organized fun. I participated in the JF and CS holiday visitor program where every holiday, every Jewish holiday, we visited Holocaust survivors. I had a really meaningful connection with it because I come from a lineage of Holocaust survivors, so it was really meaningful. The lady I visited, she lived right on Beacon Street, very, very close by. And I think she was from Romania, and she gave her stories of the struggles that she had, here and even there. I think she really valued her company, and we certainly valued hers. I'm not really sure what path I really want to go down, but I've always had an interest in entrepreneurship and just starting my own thing and just being my own boss and stuff like that. So I hope to play tennis in college, maybe play some doubles. That'd be a dream of mine.
Hi, I'm Yuen Ler Chow, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. I've been performing magic tricks since second grade. I founded the Magic Society at my school freshman year to teach people how to do tricks, and it's just super fun to show people and baffle them. I've been acting for a while now, and I do a bunch of performances at Brookline High School, and I'm currently doing improv at school as well. I've been coding since middle school, I think, and I've completed many projects since middle school up until high school. During the summer after sophomore year, I created an app to manage the schedule change at my school. So my school switched to a new bi-weekly rotation schedule. So I created an app to track the schedule. And it was used by 1,700 people. So the majority of the school had my app, and it was helping many people. It allows you to customize your classes, so you could put in what class you have for each block. And it could tell you, for example, your A block chemistry class ends in 5 minutes, 10 seconds, and it will count down until 0. It would also say your B block English class would start in 10 minutes, 15 seconds, for example.
Tell me a little about Brookline Codes.
Mm-hmm. So I founded Brookline Codes during March 2020 to offer free computer science and math courses to elementary and middle schoolers. Recently, we've expanded to all of Massachusetts. So we've actually renamed Brookline Codes to be called GD STEM, the Greater Boston STEM program. And we currently have around 300 students from all over Massachusetts with 70 instructors. And I'm really proud of that. I guess my role directing a lot of the logistics has to do with just communicating with parents about being in classes and all that. And it tends to be a lot, and I'm often spend a lot of my day working on it. I intend to continue it next year, and I hope to involve even more students in Massachusetts. I think Coding isn't necessarily completely technical and requires a lot of creativity, just like acting, to be able to come up with ideas for an app, for example, or to be able to just think outside the box when you're coding is super useful. I'll be attending Harvard College next year. I'll be studying computer science. I'm not too sure about my career in my future yet. Last summer, I've conducted computational biology research, and maybe I'll do something like that in the future. I also hope to create a startup one day, maybe.
My name is Yelissa Burgos. I am a junior at Brookline High School. I take time to read the Bible about an hour each day in the morning.
What have you gotten out of reading the Bible?
I have learned many pieces of, advice to life and sort of different ways to think of certain things when I was reading it in a certain context, and I would think about it in a different way. I have many obstacles that I've overcome, and one big one I would say would have to be my disability, where I have to work harder to retain information than most other people. So I have developed my own way of taking notes in a way that is detailed, and it helps me retain information better and helps me learn more. I started with watching YouTube videos on other ways people take their notes, and many famous ways to take notes, like the Cornell, the 2-column notes. And I've tried a few of them, with trial and error. It took a really long time to figure out a way where I can incorporate different methods and mesh them all together in a way that is detailed, that is simple language, as if you're trying to explain it to a younger student, which helps me and other students as well. Some of the responsibilities my brother and I have to take at home is cooking, cleaning, trying to balance our school life and social life, and we need to help our parents as much as we can due to the fact that both of them are disabled. My disability could be a little frustrating at times when I have to work harder. It had led me to burning out. And so what I have developed to work around that is setting timers for myself on certain times to work and take breaks. To receive such a huge award like this is beyond my imagination. At one point, I've come to my dad, having a conversation with him, talking about how I felt the work that I've been putting into school is too much, and that I feel like it's not leading anywhere. And my dad had told me that eventually that work that I'm putting into is going to lead somewhere big, and that I'm going to make a great impact. In the future, I hope to be a scientist of some sort to help people in any way I can.
There's no denying that this year has been really difficult for everyone. I'm curious to hear about how the Coolidge has adapted to stay afloat.
Well, we had to get really creative. We wanted to do some outdoor offerings. It seemed like the safest alternative. So we partnered with the town of Medfield to bring pop-up drive-ins to Medfield State Hospital, starting with Shutter Island. And then we also partnered with the trustees of Parks and Reservations at Rocky Woods to bring some of our classic after midnight entertainment there. And we've also been offering private rentals. You can do a private movie party here at the Coolidge. You can rent any of our screens. And that's been really picking up since January, so looking ahead.
Super excited to hear that. Now we're going to hear from the Ethel Weiss Service Award recipient.
I'm Katherine Tallman. I'm Executive Director and CEO of Coolidge Corner Theater Foundation. I'm from the Detroit area. I've been here for 34 years though, so I'm actually more or less from here now. I came here in 1987 for a job with a real estate and investment firm, and I didn't know anyone. And I found the Coolidge around the corner. I had an apartment on Winchester Street, and when I found the Coolidge, I was like, oh my gosh, I can make it here. Who would ever dream that so many years later, I would first be asked to join the board, which was a thrill in and of itself, and I was on the board for 5 years, and then become the executive director almost 8 years ago now. So it's, you can't make it up. It's like a movie. It's been by far the most rewarding job anybody could ever ask for until the last year. We all experienced the same thing, right? It happened so fast that we could hardly see what was coming. We were showing movies 1 hour, and the next hour we weren't. We opened First Cow. We had done the 4 o'clock show, and we closed right after that. By maybe a week later, a distributor sent us an email and said, can you stream this film if we give it to you? And we said, sure, we'll try. And that led into like a complete revamp of our website and starting the whole virtual screening room. The things that happen here all the time that are amazing were still happening. They just weren't happening inside. One of the most remarkable things about the Coolidge is the staff. It was a lot of discussion across the board and across the staff. Like, these people are part of our family. We weren't just going to like stop their jobs. I made a decision in doing that budget that we would furlough several of the office staff, which was very difficult because we are really a tight team. I know these people, I know they have kids, I know their families, I know their financial situations. It was really painful, but the messages of support that we got really kept us going. I mean, there are times when I opened the mail, which all comes to my house now, and I would just, my eyes would fill up with tears because the messages are so kind. And so that just made us realize that we weren't alone in this. There's this giant community that is just carrying this whole thing along until we can all get back together. The future is coming. We're talking now about reopening, probably middle of May. We'll see how it goes. You can make plans. Plans are made to be changed, whether you change them or not. What does the Coolidge look like in 5 years? Well, I hope the Coolidge looks a lot different in 2 years. We do have a plan to expand the theater. We're just in the final phases of raising major gifts, and then we will launch a public campaign. And we know, based on the support we've seen so far, and especially during this really difficult time, that we'll continue to get a lot of support. We work with a lot of partners already, but we want to build more collaborations across other nonprofits and get younger people in here, get more diverse audiences in here, and we'll finally have the room to be able to do that. I'm so grateful for that.
We're back into the Coolidge, and I wanted to, wait, you know what? Actually, Nick, why don't you do it this time?
All right, I got it. So I'd like to introduce our next round of recognition and youth award recipients.
My name is Kazi Stafford, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. I am a member of a club at the high school called SARE, Students Against Institutional Racism. I've been a part of that club for the past 3 years. This year, I am a co-president, and I really enjoy being in that group because we do a lot of actions and have a lot of conversations around race, structural and institutional, and we try our best to implement new reforms in the high school. And I'm also, this year, I am a student liaison for the CDICR, which is a commission in Brookline that focuses on diversity and inclusion. And that has been very interesting because I've gotten to learn a lot about town government and what that looks like, hearing from other people's perspectives and having tough conversations is a great start to moving the agenda forward and trying to make a better society, a better world for tomorrow. And yeah, that just starts with being willing to step outside of what is your box or what is your comfort zone. An aspect of my identity that has posed a lot of challenges is my race. As an African American and Latinx person, a person of color in general, I've definitely been a part of the minority in my world. So that means school, that means outside of school, like in sports or clubs or other environments that are majority white people. That has posed a lot of challenges and a lot of setbacks because there's always like this certain fear or anxiety that I carry around with me wherever I go. And I've learned to accept it, try to be aware of it, and not suppress it because that would make it worse. And yeah, and that's still a challenge that I'm facing today, that a lot of my peers are facing today, my peers of color to be specific. I'm interested in communications, sociology, and psychology, and hopefully I major in one of those. And yeah, honestly, I want to learn and I want to grow as a person. And one day, my long-term goal is to have a job that allows me to be creative and intuitive, and also be a service of people and help people.
Hi, I'm Isis Contreras. I am a junior at BHS. I'm from Costa Rica. I moved here 2016, middle of 7th grade, middle of winter. Went to Baker. It was quite an experience. In school, I run the Food Justice Club with my friend Julia. I also am part of judiciary. I find that it's really important for kids to use their voice. Outside of school, I am part of things like the Boston Children's Chorus and organizations like Farm Sanctuary and Sunrise Brookline. And a lot of these organizations work to achieve equity among different aspects in our society. I am sick of seeing people not having the same opportunities. I see injustice everywhere, and the fact that we just let it go and the fact that so many people are complacent just makes me so upset. It's not okay that there's so many things in our society and we just let it happen and we just turn a blind eye and we just keep putting band-aids on it. I just see the news, like even just turning on CNN, and it's just like, man, like there's so much that needs to be done in so little time. And it's sometimes really overwhelming because I want to be doing all these things, but there's only so much time. I want to see change. And I want to see people coming together and opening their eyes and realizing that the world doesn't revolve around them. It revolves, it's about all of us. And you can't just turn a blind eye because it doesn't affect you. You have to work on it for it to be fixed. And so I want to see people coming together and working. It's really frustrating how even in Brookline so many kids just are so complacent. And it's really frustrating because a lot of the times they don't have bad intentions. They just don't know any better. That's why taking classes like social justice and racial awareness is so important. So important for especially for kids that have lived their entire life in Brookline. So they get to have that experience of being empathetic and putting themselves in other people's shoes. I really want to go to the University of Geneva. Someday I'll become some sort of diplomat or a foreign officer to try and do something.
My name is Isam Al-Najjar, and I am a senior in BHS High School. I have two brothers. One of them is a freshman in Brookline High School, and the other one is 3 years old now. On the 10th day of Ramadan in 2012, the military came to my town, and they killed about 84, 85 people. That's my age right now, a little bit younger, and men. My town were like not a big fan of the president. So the military came, did that, and then they sent a paper to the man who's responsible for the town. And then they said, if you go on a protest again, have a second thought. One story that's like, that guy, he's a friend of my dad, so he knows the story. So he have 3 sons. So they lined them up and they killed his 3 sons in front of his eyes and then killed the father. I was like about 12 years old. So what I did is I tried to run away from the house to look for my dad. And then my mom saw me and then she stopped me. So I waited for her to go to another room. And then I left the house. I just saw a lot of people walking. I did not know where they're walking, so I just started walking with them. When we arrived there, I saw that they have digged a big hole to put all of the dead people in because they don't have time to dig one hole for each man. Then the men who's helping, they thought the military will come again and then like kill them. So when I was looking there, I did not see my dad of one of the dead people. He was in the hole helping the guy who is responsible for the town to identify the dead people. So like that moment when I saw my dad, I could not explain it, what happens. You know, like that joy in your heart, like, yes, my dad is not dead, you know? After my dad finishes identifying most all of the people, and then so all of his brothers, he have 9 brothers, no, he has 7 brothers, 2 sisters. So they told him, leave the town and go to Damascus. We live a close town to Damascus. By the time we decided to go, the military made a barricade. And then so they will search every car. So my dad, he was wearing a white t-shirt and there was a blood on it. So he sat in the back with my uncle driving, and my mom was sitting in the front seat. I was sitting in at the back, and my dad was in the middle, and then my little brother. And then we just like packed a couple of bags of clothes. So we put those bags on my dad, and then we had him change his t-shirt because of the blood. And when we got at the barricade, they said, "Show me your IDs." So my uncle showed the ID and my mom, because my dad was trying to put he has the bags on him, because if they saw him, they would take him. And then at that exact moment, he got a command saying, "Let everyone go. We have a lot of people left." So he didn't even look at the ID card. So when he gave it back and then he let us go, it was the happiest moment in my life.
Wow.
Yes, that's when they say your life is so close to an end, basically. We stayed in Damascus for about 4 months. My dad came to the house. He said, "I have tickets to go to Egypt." My family, they decided it would be best for me and my brother to leave because it was getting dangerous. My mom's family, my grandparents, they live close to our house. So they told us that the military have came because they looked for my dad. They didn't find him. So they burned the house. After 2 years staying in Egypt, we said, let's apply for the UNICEF relocating program. And then our application took 2.5 years to get accepted. And during that, they won't tell you where you are leaving, like where you will be relocated. My parents always joke, we want to go to Brookline. And then one of the volunteers made an email saying that we have a Syrian family and then we're looking for a house. And that friends have a house here and he's trying to help refugees. He's trying to help someone. And we were the lucky one. We were the chosen one to have that house. For Mr. Fisher project, the first thought was for me to help the Syrian refugees because I was one of them at the beginning. I contacted the GFS. I said, if you want me to tutor. So they said, we have a program after school on Tuesday for tutoring. So I said, of course, I'll be in. So right now I am tutoring for a 3rd grader. His name is Muhammad, and I'm tutoring for him for math. And I'm also tutoring for another guy. So we're tutoring 2 days a week. I am going to UMass Boston. And for right now, I'm saying that I want to be an engineer. No one in my family went to college, so I'll be the first one. I'll be the example for my brothers.
Wow, those are really moving. Now we're going to hear from the Roger Grandy Social Justice Award recipient.
My name is Jocelyn Vendola. I do a lot of roller skating and play roller derby in my free time. My skating name is MC Slammer. I'm on the Boston Roller Derby League. I play for 2 teams in that league. I went to college at Wheaton College, and then I've been in the Newton, Brighton, Dedham area ever since. About 13 years ago, I had started coaching at Brookline High School, coaching in the soccer program a year before I applied to teach there, and then I've been teaching there ever since. I teach in the Excel program. The Excel program is a substantially separate special education program at Brookline High School. It's a small program, which I love because it has sort of a family feel to it. You get to know your students really well, build close relationships with your students and your coworkers. About a month before the schools shut down, I was speaking with one of my coworkers, a social worker, Karen Kennedy at the high school, and just started to think about how the possibility of Brookline closing was going to impact many of my students, all of which do participate in the free and reduced lunch program in Brookline. So if schools closed, that would be an immediate food insecurity issue for families who rely on that program. So what can we kind of do to prepare for that? The first thing that we did was to start collecting food in a smaller capacity. And this came from donations from teachers mostly. I wrote an email to school staff and just said, we saw that there was a possible need for supplementing their food resources at home. So more teachers started to donate food just in these weeks leading up. And then as it got closer, we started to plan for the delivering. At the start of the pandemic, we were delivering food to 19 families. Over the course of the year, the number of families has increased to 48-ish, depending on the month. So I know that the families that we've helped are very grateful, but really getting through this as a community and helping our families who might need a little bit more assistance during this time, I mean, that was the most important piece of it. And I know that this is really just the start of addressing a much larger problem, that the pandemic has made some of these social issues more apparent. These food drives have made a dent during a crisis, but the problem still continues. The food insecurity issue doesn't just disappear. It was there before the pandemic, and if we don't continue to work on it, it will remain after the pandemic.
What an extraordinary effort.
Yeah, truly inspiring. Now we're going to hear from our last 4 Youth Award recipients.
My name is Genevieve Masuoka, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. One of the main inspirations in my life is my mom, because she adopted me when I was about 1.5 from China. I think that was incredibly brave of her to do, and she has taught me basically everything that I know. My favorite thing to do is I really love listening to music. That's something that has been a really big part of my life, so I often listen to it whenever I can. I started playing the piano when I was about 4 years old, and I continue it today. I'm a part of the New England Conservatory Preparatory Program. One thing I'm really passionate about is I'm a part of this program called the Showa Boston School, Boston citizens, and young women from Japan are able to meet, and we kind of get to know each other's cultures. So they get to teach me Japanese, and I can teach them about American culture and show them around Boston. I'm on the crew team. At Brookline High School, I'm on the girls' crew team. I'm a coxswain. Part of being a coxswain is you really do have to work with your boat, and you have to communicate a lot. I've gotten to learn how to be a leader and how to be a good teammate. I do think academically, I did have a little bit of a difficult time. Turner syndrome, from my understanding of it, it's a genetic condition that affects females. I don't think it really affects me on a day-to-day basis, but it kind of has had its ups and downs in terms of just overall in my life. I had always wished that I didn't have this condition, but I do. And so for me, it was really adapting to, okay, I do have this, so how am I going to make my life better? Or how am I going to sort of adjust to what I have? I've been contemplating that, what my future is going to look like a lot. I'm not 100% sure yet. I've been extremely lucky to have the choices that I do have to do what I want to do. And that's something that I think about every day.
So the last year obviously has been eventful for everybody, but for me, I think it's been a time of checking back in with myself and learning how to learn sort of outside of school, if that makes sense. I feel like before I was approaching a lot of my work with a sort of, let's do this and learn along the way. And the pandemic has really given me an opportunity to sort of step back and specifically just learn and just ask questions. And one way that's sort of manifested is through my work on the Massachusetts LGBTQ+ Youth Commission, where it's a state agency. It's very adult dominated and mostly adult led. And being one of the few young people, I felt a lot of pressure to sort of, act up, get things on the spot. And because of the pandemic, I've been able to sort of sit back, harvest youth leadership on the commission, but also sort of listen to my queer elders and older queer people on the commission that have such a much larger sense of history than I do, and specifically around learning from just sort of intergenerational queer trauma around the HIV/AIDS crisis that's like ongoing, but how different government responses have been and how different cultural responses have been, and essentially learning from those who have like experienced this sort of health crisis in their community before. I've just stepped back a lot.
Tell me what you've learned.
I think I've learned that I think a lot of high school is about college, at least in Brookline, where it's college prep, like be a leader, take on this position, have a role, like add another line to your resume. And I think I've learned, and obviously being a senior and sort of having the sort of resume building struggle be at least paused for a little bit, has really made me step back and learn that I actually don't really need that, and that I'm actually most helpful sometimes when I'm taking on different roles that might not actually be sort of helpful in the generic notion of what success looks like. I found myself in the last year being a support system being part of a support system for my friends who are also applying to college, the underclassmen at Brookline High who want to get involved with organizing and service work, and just sort of being a connector between people. And I think having worked in many adult-led spaces throughout high school, I think I've been able to use that to sort of, help some other young folks up the ladder.
My name is Naomi Brea Rivera, and I'm currently a senior at Brookline High School. I began volunteering at Y2Y, which is a homeless shelter in Cambridge, Harvard Square, in such an area where you have the best well-known school like Harvard. Around there were people like those I met who were just in such difficult situations, who were homeless, who were young and like not far from my age, not far from my world, just not far from who I was. So I saw myself like just realizing like that could be me at any point in my life. So I wanted to help. I wanted to help and connect with those individuals. And there I would volunteer every morning, every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. I would wake up, take the bus down to Harvard Square. I remember the 66. And I would help prepare breakfast for them, whether that was like eggs and toast and just pancakes, I remember, and I would interact with them and I would serve it to them and they would recognize me and they would say hi. They would refer to me as like the girl or like the nice one and stuff like that, which always made me like really warm inside and smile, just because I knew I was making a difference, whether it was just saying hi to them and just being able to like have a small conversation and wishing them a good day or just getting to know them on a really personal level. So that experience definitely shaped me helped me realize what I want to do in the future, helped me realize that sometimes we're really blind and like we don't realize things that others are really going through and they're right next door. BHS has definitely shaped me in good and bad ways. There's been things that I've gone through that I feel like have broken me, but at the same time, I've definitely learned from them. As a young girl of color in a predominantly like white school, there has been certain times where I felt like I didn't fit in, or certain times where I felt less than, but I think everything I've gone through has definitely shaped me and helped me become a better version of myself. I'm really interested in forensic science, but just in general law and criminal justice. So I hope to see myself in the future becoming a medical examiner, which is someone who studies the cause of death. I've always loved science just because I'm a very hands-on learner. So I love to like being able to touch things and just figure out how things work and see how they work visually. So science has always been my thing. I love how it challenges my thinking and how there's never a right or wrong answer. It's more so just like expanding on your knowledge. I think what helped me get through hardships and just obstacles is the individuals I have around me. So specifically my parents, but my teachers, my advisors, my friends who always push me and always like constantly reminds me that things happen for a reason and to stay focused.
My name is Meg Hitchcock-Smith, and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. I really started with my extracurricular stuff at BHS through the program Racial Awareness run by Mr. Cawthorn and Miss Leslie originally. It was my sophomore year, so that really focused on anti-racist work, etc. And it got me involved in this program, Racial Reconciliation and Healing, through the Southern Jamaica Plains Health Center. It's been a wonderful opportunity for me. And through that, I've gained a lot of facilitation skills and leadership skills that I'm really appreciative of. And I was able to bring that back to BHS and actually found the coalition SHARP, which stands for Sexual Harassment and Assault Response and Prevention. A friend and I got together and we were really unhappy with some of the misogyny and sexual harassment we were seeing going on online between our classmates. I think it was heightened online because of the absence of school. Due to COVID, and we created an anonymous Google form asking students to share their Me Too experiences within BHS in hopes to bring this to the administration and really raise awareness about the issues that I myself and so many other people at BHS have gone through. We didn't know how big it was going to be. We didn't think it would be big, but we ended up collecting 75 individual stories from people. So reading through those and really understanding that I was witnessing or either A, hearing these stories for the first time ever, they had never been told to anyone else, and B, that these are some of the most terrible moments of my peers' lives that I was then witnessing was really, really hard for me. Knowing that people had gone through this and then entrusted me to deliver this information to the administration to create some sort of change was really, really difficult. But I also felt honored that students, my peers, were able to trust me that much. So I'm very grateful for that and that trust. I know that potentially my work is the reason that someone will not have to go through a trauma in their lifetime, or someone will be protected because of the educational and preventative responsive measures that we are starting to put in place within BHS. My short-term future, I've committed to Smith next year in Northampton, which I'm really, really excited for. So short-term future, I'll be in Northampton, hopefully studying government journalism. I'm really interested in psychology as well. So I want to start learning more about that in an academic setting and see where that takes me. But I've always had a special place in my heart for US government. For better or for worse, my dream would be to go into government in some capacity.
Back again with Harvey Youth Award founder, and I'm just really grateful for the work that you've been doing every single year to pull this together.
Thank you so much. You've done such a great job tonight under difficult circumstances. Asaya, you're a great host to this program. Now comes time for the big moment of the night, our Brookline Youth of the Year. We're going to start with our past Youth of the Year, and then go to tonight's Brookline Youth of the Year finalists.
The challenges of Down syndrome have only seemed to sharpen Henry Brill's resolve that at times seemed hardwired in him. Henry is also a champion of social and civil justice and a born leader.
Isis Contreras Perez is a force for social justice. She uses every tool in her arsenal to fight for those who the system has forgotten. She says she wants to be a diplomat someday. Don't bet against her.
Catherine O'Connor is a thoughtful, kind, and inspiring champion of transgender and LGBTQ+ rights. Their leadership and direction come at a time when our community and our nation could not need it more.
Hey everybody, my name is Richard Desir, the 2019 Brookline Youth of the Year, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you all to one of this year's finalists, Meg Hitchcock-Smith. She is co-leader of Students Against Institutional Racism, a program which I had the pleasure of working with her on my senior year of high school. She is also the founder of Sexual Harassment Response and Prevention, a program which has helped many students immensely in the past year. Meg has certainly left a legacy that will outlive her time at Brookline High School. Thank you so much everybody, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Steps to Success success story. Naomi Brea Rivera's hard work, positive attitude, single-minded determination to succeed for herself while displaying empathy, kindness, and dedication to those less fortunate are the qualities that have made Naomi a 3-time Youth Award honoree.
Yelissa's Burgos' grace and unbending determination to fulfill her goal of being a scientist, despite her learning challenges, while helping her physically challenged parents, provide an inspiration and a lesson to everyone privileged to know her. We agree with her father. She will make a big impact.
So you've just seen the 5 Brookline Youth of the Year finalists. I have to repeat what Saya said earlier in the evening. This is a completely subjective process. Every student that you heard from tonight is worthy of our emulation, and especially this year under such trying circumstances. Please welcome our 2021 Brookline Youth of the Year.
My pleasure to be your host tonight, and I know the great work that we're doing is not going to end here. And even though we're recognizing you for all the great work you've done, you're just going to keep doing better and better in the future, and I look forward to seeing that.
Next year, we'll be back at the Coolidge, except you'll all be here, and we're going to fill this place, and can't wait for it. Have a great and safe year, everyone. See you next year at the Brookline Youth Awards.